Welcome to Daily Stoic Practice, your compass to navigate the complexities of modern life with ancient wisdom. Have you ever tried to help someone, only to feel like you're pouring water into a bucket with a hole in it? You give and give, you try your hardest, but nothing ever seems to change. Some people, no matter how much effort you put into them, remain stuck in their own cycles. And if you're not careful, they can pull you into that same cycle too. How can you recognize these people? How can you tell when your kindness is being taken for granted? And most importantly, how do you help the right people without losing yourself in the process? These are the questions we'll answer today as we explore 10 types of people you shouldn't help, no matter how kind-hearted you are. Now, this isn't about being selfish. It's about being wise. It's about knowing when your efforts are genuinely helping someone grow and when they're simply enabling someone's stagnation. Think about it. Are you helping someone rise? Or are you just being the crutch they lean on forever? Are you truly rescuing them, or are you letting them drag you down? You need to stick around, because type 7 on this list might just make you realize how much time, effort, and trust you've wasted in the past. This video is not just about understanding others, but also about learning how to protect yourself. Because when kindness is misplaced, it can become a double-edged sword. So let's dive in. We've all experienced it at some point in our lives. Giving selflessly, sometimes even at a personal cost. Perhaps you've sacrificed your time, energy, or money to help someone, only to be met with silence, indifference, or even criticism. It's a painful experience. You reach out to support someone through a rough patch, maybe by staying up late, offering a listening ear, or giving advice when it's most needed. You give without expecting anything in return, and yet, once they're back on their feet, they act as though you never existed. Worse yet, they might even complain that you didn't do enough. It's as if all your efforts were forgotten, and their sense of entitlement blinds them to any gratitude. This is the reality of dealing with the ungrateful. They are like an empty well. No matter how much you pour into them, they never think to refill it with appreciation or gratitude. They consume everything you offer, expecting more without ever offering anything in return. They see your help as their right, as something they deserve, and they rarely pause to consider the sacrifice it took for you to give. It's not just the annoyance of being taken for granted, it's the emotional toll it takes on us. The key to understanding this situation lies in the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, who once said, "It's not the ungratefulness of others that hurts you, but your own expectations of their gratitude." In other words, we often feel disappointed or hurt by the lack of gratitude because we set expectations that others should recognize and appreciate our efforts. It's important to remember that our expectations, rather than the actions of others, are often the root of our frustration. So how can we protect ourselves from the damage caused by the ungrateful? The first step is setting boundaries. Don't stop being kind. That's an essential part of who you are. But be discerning about where you direct your kindness and how much you give. Not everyone deserves your time, energy, or resources. Focus your efforts on those who genuinely appreciate them and who use your help as a stepping stone to grow and improve. Helping someone who is truly grateful brings satisfaction and positive energy, while helping someone who is ungrateful will only drain you and leave you feeling resentful. It's also crucial to recognize that helping the ungrateful often leads to emotional exhaustion. You may begin to doubt the value of kindness itself, which can erode your sense of generosity over time. Guard your kindness like a precious gift, one that should be given thoughtfully, not as an obligation. Remember that while your intentions may be pure, not everyone will recognize the value of your efforts. Choose wisely where you place your energy and ensure that your kindness is directed toward those who are capable of appreciating it. By doing so, you'll preserve your ability to continue being generous without depleting your own spirit. Have you ever found yourself trying to help someone only to watch them dig their heels in and resist all your efforts? Picture this. You stand before an open door, one that leads to a brighter, better future. You're eager to guide your friend through that door, showing them all the possibilities that lie ahead. But instead of walking toward the opportunity, they refuse to budge. They hold on tightly to their old habits, their old ways, even when they know they aren't working for them anymore. Despite your best efforts, they remain rooted in place, unwilling to take that first step toward change. This is the essence of the resistant person. They are like someone stuck on a sinking ship while a lifeboat is within arm's reach. The lifeboat, or the opportunity for change, is right there, but they won't take it. They are more comfortable with the familiar, even if that familiarity is causing them harm. Change is intimidating, and the resistant person clings to the known, even if it's sinking them slowly, because the unknown feels far too risky. Marcus Aurelius once wisely said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." What he meant is that obstacles, while initially frustrating, can become the very tools that lead us toward growth. Obstacles are not merely things that stop us. They can be the things that push us to transform, to find new ways of thinking, and to evolve. However, the resistant person refuses to see things this way. Instead of finding opportunities in their struggles, they only focus on the barriers. They become fixated on their discomfort, their fears, or their doubts. And as a result, they miss the potential for growth that could be right in front of them. As much as you want to help them, sometimes the most effective thing you can do is to stop trying to drag them forward. Encourage them. Offer support, but recognize that the responsibility for change ultimately lies with them, not you. You can't row the boat for them, and you can't make them take that step toward the future. If they're not ready, no amount of pushing or persuasion will work. In fact, trying to force change upon someone who isn't ready may only lead to frustration. For both of you, sometimes the most helpful thing you can do is to step aside. Let them face the consequences of their resistance. Let them see the reality of their choices. It's a difficult thing to do, especially when you care about someone, but it's also a crucial lesson. People can't change unless they're willing to do so. You can't make that decision for them. If they aren't ready to change, that's not your fault. What you can control is your response. And sometimes that means knowing when to step back and allow them the space to figure things out on their own. It's not we're abandoning them. It's about respecting their journey and giving them the freedom to choose their path. You've cleared the way, but they have to walk through the door themselves. The best you can do is be there when they're ready. We come to the third type of person. The manipulator is one of the trickiest types of people to deal with. Unlike the ungrateful or the resistant, manipulators aren't just indifferent or stuck in their ways. They are actively exploiting your kindness, using it to control you for their own benefit. Picture this. You're holding a bucket full of precious water. Your time, energy, care, and emotional investment. Someone asks you to pour it into their own bucket, and you agree. But as soon as you start, you notice something disturbing. Their bucket has a hole at the bottom, and no matter how much you pour, it's always leaking out. This is what dealing with a manipulator feels like. You keep giving and giving, but they never seem satisfied. Your efforts are never enough because their goal isn't to solve their problems. It's to keep you pouring indefinitely. The manipulator doesn't ask for help because they truly need it. Instead, they use your generosity to keep you under their control. They create a constant stream of crises, emergencies, and problems that always seem to require your attention. And the more you help, the more dependent they become. Their needs never end, because the true objective isn't finding a solution. It's about feeding off your empathy, your time, and your generosity. Every time you step in, they draw you deeper into their web of manipulation. As difficult as it may be, it's crucial to understand that the manipulator's behavior is rooted in control, not a genuine need for assistance. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "The only thing you truly control is yourself." This is the core of the Stoic response to manipulation. Do not allow others to dictate your emotions, your thoughts, or your actions. A manipulator will always try to pull you into their narrative, to make you feel responsible for their crises, or even to make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. But the truth is, you do have control. Control over how much you give and how much you allow others to take. The most effective way to deal with manipulators is to simply say no. Recognize their tactics and don't feel guilty for refusing to help. It's important to understand that you are not being selfish. You are protecting your energy and resources. You have a limited supply of both, and they are better used in places where they will truly make a difference. When you say no, you aren't abandoning someone in need. You are drawing a line that stops them from exploiting your kindness. In fact, your refusal to play along may very well be the wake-up call they need. It may help them realize that their manipulative behavior has consequences, and in some cases, it may even force them to confront their own dependency issues. It's important to remember that saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It's a form of self-preservation. Protect your energy for those who genuinely need it, not for those who would drain you for their own benefit. By doing so, you also free yourself to focus on relationships that are built on mutual respect and trust, rather than manipulation and exploitation. Always keep in mind that your kindness is a precious resource, and it deserves to be used wisely. If you are too busy to watch the whole video, click the like button so you can find the video again. There are some people who seem to be permanently trapped in their own narrative of tragedy. They have a story to tell, a never-ending saga of injustices, hardships, and misfortunes. But no matter how much you try to listen and offer support, nothing is ever their fault. They thrive on their role as the victim, and their primary need isn't a solution. It's an audience. They want sympathy, they want attention, and they want validation for their suffering. Imagine sitting in a theater where someone is performing a monologue that seems to never end. The same story repeated over and over. This happened to me. That went wrong. I was mistreated. The world is unfair. You try to help, offering advice or suggestions to improve their situation, but it's clear that no matter how logical or thoughtful your words are, they don't want change. They want to keep telling their story, to continue being the center of attention in their own drama. They don't seek a way out of their pain. They seek an endless stream of empathy. This is the behavior of the eternal victim. They've become so deeply ingrained in their victimhood that they can't or won't take responsibility for their situation. They cling to their suffering like a badge of honor. The eternal victim finds comfort in their role, and any attempt to help or change their perspective is met with resistance. They're not interested in solutions. They are interested in staying trapped in their cycle of negativity, wallowing in self-pity, and reinforcing the belief that the world owes them something. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." This is a powerful reminder that our thoughts shape our experience of life. But the eternal victim refuses to take responsibility for their thoughts. They would rather remain stuck in their sorrow than try to change their mindset. They believe that life is happening to them rather than for them, and they remain passive recipients of their own misfortune. So what can you do when faced with someone who has made victimhood their identity? The first step is to set boundaries. Refuse to be their constant audience. You don't have to engage in their endless loop of negativity. While it's important to be empathetic, it's equally important to protect your own mental and emotional well-being. If they refuse to take responsibility for their life, you can't carry that burden for them. Instead of offering unsolicited advice, try asking reflective questions that prompt them to think about their own role in their situation. What do you think you could do differently? Or, what's holding you back from moving forward? These types of questions can nudge them towards self-awareness, even if they resist at first. It's not about giving them the answer. It's about helping them realize that they have the power to change their own narrative if they choose to. Most importantly, don't let their negativity drain you. It can be exhausting to listen to someone who constantly focuses on their struggles, but remember, their story isn't your story. By setting clear boundaries and refusing to be pulled into their endless cycle of victimhood, you protect your own peace. You can still offer empathy, but never at the cost of your own emotional health. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for someone stuck in the role of the eternal victim is to let them face the consequences of their own choices, or lack thereof, and to encourage them to take responsibility for their own journey. We've all encountered that one person who seems to drain your time without ever contributing anything of value. They ask for just 5 minutes of your time, but before you know it, that 5 minutes stretches into an hour of endless, pointless chatter. They may talk about trivial matters, recount the same stories over and over, or ask for advice they never intend to act on. No matter how many hints you drop or how clearly you signal that you're busy, they continue to monopolize your attention. Their actions reveal a blatant disregard for your time, yet they somehow believe it's their right to take it. This is the time waster, someone who thrives on your willingness to listen, to advise, or simply to be present. They don't necessarily mean to harm you, but they certainly show little regard for the boundaries of your time. For them, your time seems endless and disposable, while their own time is always in need of your help. It can be exhausting to engage with someone who continuously stretches out your minutes without ever offering anything in return. Marcus Aurelius, in his wisdom, reminds us, stop arguing about what it means to be good. Be good. It's a call to action. Being kind doesn't mean sacrificing your own needs for someone who doesn't value your time. You can still be generous and helpful, but not at the expense of your own responsibilities, goals, and self-respect. Time is one of the most precious resources we have, and once it's gone, it's gone. Time wasters often take advantage of your willingness to be kind, but they rarely recognize the importance of protecting your own time. So how can you deal with time wasters effectively? The first step is setting clear boundaries. Don't feel guilty about protecting your time. Let them know your limits up front. If they ask for more than you can give, be honest and firm. You can say things like, "I only have a few minutes right now," or "I need to focus on this task, but let's schedule another time to talk." Setting these boundaries allows you to maintain your focus and prevents them from continually draining your time. In addition to protecting your time, you can redirect their energy in a way that benefits both of you. Instead of doing the work for them or endlessly offering advice they may not even use, ask guiding questions like, "What do you think you can do to solve this?" Or, "What steps have you already taken?" Redirecting their focus in this way helps them become more self-reliant, while also keeping you from becoming trapped in their endless cycle of time-wasting conversations. This method not only protects your time, but also encourages them to take responsibility for their own actions and decisions. By shifting the conversation from your solutions to their own ideas, you help them become more independent while preserving your own focus and priorities. Time wasters often rely on you to take charge of them. But when you refuse to do that, they may begin to take more initiative in solving their own problems. Remember, your time is valuable. Be kind and helpful, but don't let anyone, especially time wasters, make you feel like it's their right to steal it from you. By setting clear boundaries, redirecting their energy, and focusing on your own priorities, you can protect your time while still being a good, generous person. Next, the sixth type of person, the deaf listener, is one of the most draining types of people you might encounter. They come to you repeatedly with their problems, asking for advice and guidance. You give them thoughtful suggestions, support, and encouragement, and they listen attentively, nodding in agreement, saying all the right things. They smile, express gratitude, and seem genuinely interested in solving their issues. But then, when the time comes to put those words into action, nothing happens. They go back to their old ways, continue to struggle with the same problems, and return to you once again, as if no advice had ever been given. This is the pattern of the deaf listener. They hear you, but they don't listen. They acknowledge your wisdom, but they never act on it. The problem is not with your advice, it's with their unwillingness or lack of commitment to change. They might genuinely want to improve, but when faced with the discomfort or effort required to make those changes, they choose the easier route, staying stuck. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." No matter how much guidance you offer, the deaf listener's reaction is always the same: inaction. They remain passive, waiting for a miracle or someone else to take responsibility for their problems. It's easy to feel frustrated or disheartened when you see someone constantly returning with the same issues, especially after you've offered thoughtful solutions. But the reality is that you can only control your own actions, not theirs. And if someone continues to ask for advice but consistently fails to act on it, your efforts are being wasted. While it's admirable to help others, it's also important to recognize when your time and energy would be better spent elsewhere. So, how should you handle the deaf listener? The key here is to recognize the pattern. If someone consistently fails to act on your advice, stop offering solutions. Instead, shift the responsibility back to them. Ask reflective questions like, "What steps do you think you could take?" Or, "What do you believe is holding you back from making a change?" These questions encourage them to take ownership of their situation and move beyond passive listening to active problem solving. It also gives them the chance to reflect on why they haven't taken action and what internal barriers might be stopping them. This way, you're not just giving them solutions, you're guiding them to discover their own. Remember, your time is valuable. It's not selfish to prioritize those who are ready and willing to take action on their own growth. You can't force someone to change, no matter how much you help or how many solutions you provide. It's important to recognize that the deaf listener's inaction is a choice, and it's not your responsibility to fix their problems for them. By setting this boundary, you ensure that your time and energy are spent in places where they will be truly effective, with those who are ready to act on the wisdom you share. This is probably the type of person you hate the most. Life is full of minor inconveniences, but for the drama queen, every little issue becomes a full-blown catastrophe. A small delay at the coffee shop turns into a tale of betrayal. A missed text message transforms into an all-consuming tragedy. Every aspect of their life is exaggerated and amplified, as if everything is a crisis that requires your immediate attention and sympathy. To the drama queen, life is one big performance, and they want you to be their audience, always watching, always reacting, always empathizing. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, wisely reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. This is the cornerstone of Stoic thought. We cannot control the events that happen to us, but we can control how we respond to them. The drama queen, however, rejects this idea entirely. Instead of choosing a calm, rational response, they let their emotions take over, turning every minor inconvenience into an exaggerated crisis. The more you engage with their melodrama, the deeper you get pulled into their emotional whirlwind. What starts as a small issue becomes something that demands your energy, your time, and your focus, leaving you emotionally drained and distracted from your own priorities. How can you handle the drama queen without getting swept up in their emotional chaos? The first step is to set firm boundaries. Recognize that their problems, while important to them, are often blown out of proportion, and it's not your job to fix everything for them. Stay grounded and calm, no matter how heated the situation becomes. Don't get drawn into their overblown narrative. You can acknowledge their feelings without becoming emotionally involved in the drama. Sometimes, humor can be an effective tool to diffuse the situation without causing offense. For example, if they are dramatically recounting a minor inconvenience, you could say, "Wow, sounds like you're pitching this to Hollywood." This light-hearted remark can break the tension and remind them and you that the situation is not as dire as they are making it out to be. Humor can bring levity to an overblown situation, offering a gentle way to shift the focus without invalidating their feelings. It's also important to remember that you are not obligated to be an active participant in their drama. Life is short, and you have your own priorities to focus on. Protect your peace by recognizing when someone is seeking drama and decide how much energy you're willing to invest in it. You can offer support and empathy without getting tangled in the emotional web that the drama queen spins. Ultimately, you can choose to maintain your composure and stay focused on what truly matters. As Marcus Aurelius teaches us, we control our reactions, and by choosing to remain calm and centered in the face of exaggerated drama, we prevent it from taking over our lives. Life is full of ups and downs, but it's too short to let unnecessary drama take away your peace of mind. Set boundaries, stay grounded, and remember, not every situation requires a dramatic performance. The perpetual complainer is one of those people who always seems to find something wrong with everything, no matter how good or well-intentioned it is. Whether it's the weather, their job, their relationships, or even the food at a restaurant, they constantly have a grievance to air. They have a knack for finding fault, and no matter what you do or say, they can always pinpoint something to complain about. Even if things are going well, they'll find a way to turn it into something negative. The problem with spending time with someone like this is that it drains your energy and leaves you feeling deflated and pessimistic. The perpetual complainer doesn't just notice problems. They thrive on misery. They see the world through a lens of criticism, where everything is either broken or lacking in some way. When you try to help or offer a solution, they dismiss it or focus on how it's not enough. It's like trying to fill a cup with a hole in it. No matter how much positivity, advice, or encouragement you offer, they're determined to focus on the negative. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." This quote highlights the value of challenges and struggles in the process of growth and improvement. Yet, the perpetual complainer isn't interested in overcoming obstacles or learning from hardships. They simply want to complain, often because it's a way for them to seek attention, sympathy, or validation. So, how do you deal with the perpetual complainer without getting dragged into their negativity? The key is to stop engaging in their complaints. While it's important to acknowledge their feelings and show empathy, you don't have to allow their negativity to dominate the conversation or your mindset. Responding with empathy helps you remain compassionate, but it's crucial to redirect the conversation towards solutions. If they're complaining about their job, instead of simply agreeing or offering more complaints, ask them, what steps can you take to improve the situation? Or if they're upset about something in their personal life, encourage them to think about what they can control or change. Sometimes, introducing a bit of positivity can help shift their perspective. However, be cautious not to get caught in their cycle of complaining. The more you engage with their negativity, the more you reinforce it. It's important to recognize when to step back and not get swept into their world of perpetual dissatisfaction. You don't have to fix their problems, nor should you allow their complaints to drain your energy. You can acknowledge their struggles, but steer the conversation in a more constructive direction that focuses on growth and improvement. At the end of the day, the perpetual complainer is often not looking for solutions. They're looking for an audience. By setting boundaries, redirecting the conversation, and focusing on solutions, you can protect your own energy while encouraging them to take ownership of their own happiness. You don't have to participate in their negativity, and you can help guide them toward a more positive, solution-oriented mindset. But remember, while you may offer support, the responsibility for change lies with them. The chronic excuser is a master at finding reasons why they can't do anything, and it's exhausting to be around. Whether it's skipping workouts, not pursuing their dreams, or avoiding important conversations, they have an endless supply of excuses. I don't have enough time, I'm too tired, or it's just not the right time, are their go-to responses. It's like they're stuck in a perpetual cycle of inaction, always waiting for the perfect conditions or an external sign to move forward. No matter how much you try to motivate them, they keep finding new reasons why now is not the right moment to take action. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." The chronic excuser, however, seems to believe that external circumstances, time, energy, or the right moment control their ability to act. They've fallen into the trap of focusing on what they cannot control, rather than taking responsibility for what they can. The truth is, there will never be a perfect time to act. Waiting for the right moment often just means waiting forever. Life moves forward whether we're ready or not, and the chronic excuser's endless loop of excuses only keeps them stuck in the same place. So, how do you deal with the chronic excuser? The first step is to stop making excuses for them. It's easy to sympathize, offer reassurances, or help them rationalize why they can't do something right now. But in doing so, you're enabling their behavior. Instead of offering more excuses or solutions, challenge them gently with thoughtful questions. Ask them, what could you do differently? Or, what's holding you back from making a change? These questions place the responsibility squarely on their shoulders, nudging them to reflect on their own role in their inaction. It forces them to confront the excuses they've been using as a crutch. While you can encourage them and offer support, it's important not to carry them. You can't do the work for them, and no amount of motivation or sympathy will help unless they're ready to take responsibility and act. Encourage small, manageable steps instead of expecting a big leap. Help them see that the first step doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be taken. In the end, remember that you can't force someone to overcome their own excuses. The chronic excuser is the only one who can break free from their cycle. Your role is to offer support, challenge them when needed, and remind them that the power to change lies within their own hands. If they choose to continue making excuses, you have to accept that it's their choice. All you can do is model the behavior of action, focus on your own goals, and be there when they're ready to take the leap. Finally, the energy vampire is one of the most draining types of people you can encounter. They seem to take all your energy, but give none back. After spending time with them, you may feel mentally and emotionally exhausted, as if you've been talking to a bottomless pit, constantly offering your empathy, time, and attention, but never receiving anything in return. They often unload their problems on you, seeking validation, sympathy, or advice. But when it's your turn to share, they're uninterested or dismissive. They are constantly in a state of emotional need, leaving you feeling depleted and mentally fatigued. This kind of relationship can be extremely draining because energy vampires feed on your emotional and mental resources without contributing anything to the exchange. It's like being in a conversation where you're doing all the talking and listening, while they simply absorb your energy without ever offering any of their own. They thrive on your empathy, but when you need them to be present or supportive, they're nowhere to be found. Over time, being around them can leave you feeling empty, like you've given a lecture but received no feedback. So how do you handle an energy vampire without letting them suck the life out of you? The key is to recognize them for what they are and set clear boundaries. Your energy is valuable, and it's important to protect it. You can still be kind and compassionate, but you don't need to let them monopolize your time and emotional resources. One of the most effective ways to deal with an energy vampire is to limit your exposure. It's okay to take a step back and create distance when necessary. You don't have to entertain every conversation or be the emotional dumping ground for their problems. Politely but firmly set boundaries about how much time or energy you're willing to give. This may mean steering the conversation toward more balanced exchanges, or even taking breaks from spending time with them altogether. You can also practice self-care and recharge after spending time with them. Engage in activities that replenish your energy and restore your mental balance. This will help you stay grounded and prevent the energy vampire from draining you completely. Remember, you don't have to solve all their problems or carry their emotional weight. Be empathetic, but don't allow them to deplete your own resources. By setting boundaries and being mindful of your own emotional needs, You can protect your energy while still offering support when it's appropriate. The energy vampire can only drain you if you let them. So take control and guard your energy fiercely. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and part of that control involves choosing who we invest our time, energy, and kindness in. We can give freely to those who are open and ready to receive our help, but we must also be discerning enough to protect ourselves from those who take without giving back. The Stoic mindset encourages us to understand that we are not responsible for others' actions or attitudes, only our own responses. As we help others, it's vital to reflect on who in our lives is truly worth our attention and support. By setting healthy boundaries and prioritizing where we invest our energy, we ensure that we protect our well-being and maintain a sense of peace in the face of adversity. Take a moment to reflect on the relationships around you. Who is uplifting you? Who is draining you? Remember, your time and energy are finite resources, and it's your choice where to direct them. Choose wisely. Offer your support to those who are ready to take responsibility for their own growth. And don't hesitate to distance yourself from those who continuously pull you down without any intention of changing. And as you walk this path, know that you are not alone. I'm here with you, supporting you every step of the way. If you'd like to dive deeper into any of these types, or explore how to apply Stoic principles to set strong boundaries in your daily life, let me know in the comments. I'd love to help you further on this journey of self-mastery and growth. Don't miss our daily videos, insightful discussions, and practical tips for applying Stoic principles to your modern life.